All right, I think we're live. The thing with Google is you're never actually sure when you're live or not. Hey, everybody, it's your favorite redneck, Kenny Hogg, back with you. Got a special guest today, Wolver Hulk, and we are here to talk about important guild matters. This is going to be for our new guild friends and also guild strategies for everyone else in our guild who's been with us from the very beginning. Wolver, can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right, awesome. All right, now thank you for making this fancy PowerPoint that you made.
Woohoo!
And all right, we should be able to see it now. So I see an agenda, and it says "Welcome new guild members." So we've had a lot of turnover lately, huh? Now we got some new people in there. I'm real excited to meet and play with all these new people.
Yeah, it's nice. We got a good mix of folks. We have some level 40s, some sub level 30s, and it's an interesting mix. Some people from different aspects of the game, some in the mid stages, and then some in the earlier stages of the game. So this video will prove very helpful for them.
Awesome, that's lots of fun. So should we talk about the guild a little bit? Is that what this next one PowerPoint bullet is?
Yeah, what we're going to do first is, my name's Wolver Hulk in the game, and when I created the guild, I had Kenny, Wide Awake, Anna, Gannon, Fan, and a few folks that have been around the guild for a long time now. And we initially started, and it was a small guild, but the reason why I created this guild is because I was trying to find a situation where it could be a guild run by adults, and everyone could have a good time without any drama. I see a lot of the other guilds where there's negative feedback to other people in the guild, or they kick them out because they're not winning a fight or something silly like that. And so I'm glad I formed this guild, and everybody that's in it is just in the same page. And Kenny, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit too now.
Yeah, I'm Kenny Hogg, everybody's favorite redneck. So I enjoy this game, and I like this guild a whole lot for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. We're not pretentious and uptight, and we don't just care about winning, and we don't just care about trolling. There's all kinds of things we don't care about. We're a good mix. We care about everything just a little bit, and it's real fun to play with people from around the world. I really like that. And whereas a lot of guilds will only accept 40 plus, people, level 40 plus, I think one of our philosophies that's helped us a lot is we do take younger players, if you would, and we shape them, and we teach them about guild and the game, so they learn, and we're all on the same page, and that's why I like this guild.
Yeah, you hit it on the head with that. We really do shape people, though we in a good way too. The other thing is interesting is that it's not just Kenny and me. We don't do everything, thank goodness, because I think we'd both go crazy by now. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, it's tough.
It's a lot of work. Um, like
It
what,
sure is.
what does Wide Awake do for us, Kenny?
Well, Wide Awake, in my opinion, he does some hard stuff because I don't know how to do it. He schedules all the guild battles, so he knows who's fighting when and when they should fight and when they should be held out. And there's a lot to it because in a perfect world, we'd have a certain number of people and they'd all be able to fight every battle all the time. Well, that's never the case. And Wide Awake figures out, all right, well, these people, he's going to be out of town on vacation, so he can be held out of the battle, and he has all the numbers. I call him Mort Numberstein because he is so good with numbers. He just enjoys that, and he keeps track of everything. That's a hard gig. That's a hard thing to do. And then Wolverhulk, he just motivates everybody and organizes everything. He does a whole lot too. Can't even explain what I mean. You're always online helping people, so there's a lot to that. And we got some good people in there. Anna's always helping people.
Yeah.
Tabap he's doing numbers and fight statistics and everything. So it's not like we just play this game and then turn it off and go to bed. No, it's pretty much all we think about, I think. I don't want to speak for myself, but pretty much all I think about.
So that's and that's what especially for the new folks, I think Kenny is doing a really good thing explaining that to y'all. Because if you just join the guild, you might not know, oh, what is Wide Awake? Oh, who is Wide Awake? I never see him talk in guild chat. He's there, he's present. He may not talk that much in guild chat, but that's because he's doing so many dang things. And so he's got his hands full. Anna is very helpful. She's very uh, vocal in the guild chat as well as in lineup chat. Same with Tay. So those two are very helpful to people in the guild. But for those new folks out there that may not know who those people are, we hope that that served to give you a little brief introduction to them.
All right, good, awesome.
Yeah, can you go over a little bit of guild member expectations?
Sure. If you don't win every battle, we're going to kick you out.
Yes, that's it.
No, that's not the case at all. I'm kidding. Number one, I think one of our main priorities is communication, because it's just such a difficult task to run the guild and make it fair for everybody. And when people don't tell us what is going on with them, it makes it that much harder. If you need help somewhere, let us know. In number one, if you need out of a battle or you can't fight and you know this in advance, then let us know so we can schedule somebody else in there.
And if something makes you upset, don't just rage quit. Come talk to Kenny. Come talk to me. Let us see if we can make it right.
Right. This the game is a lot like real life. If you just take a deep breath and then talk it out with somebody, there's probably a good solution to whatever's happening. And you got a good team here to help you in whatever problems you're having. So, what else as far as expectations do we have?
Well, I think another one is that I find because we're Conqueror 3 to / Guardian 1 rank guild right now, and we can face some pretty fierce competition. We face some that it's been just straight misery, losing, but learning the process at the same time, even though it doesn't feel like you are during that loss. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't get discouraged if you're new to the guild and you just started hitting the guild battle ranks and you're just losing your hat. Don't let that get you down. Communicate with us, as Kenny already expressed several times, because we're going to be able to help you overcome different obstacles. Maybe it's an issue with the healing. Maybe it's an issue with DPS. Let's have a conversation and work through those issues that you're having, so that way you can begin to get through some of those roadblocks.
Right, and another expectation we have of all our members is that when you're scheduled for a guild battle, that you use all 3 of your attacks. That is there's a lot of reasons that we need you to do that. Number one, half the time you're going to win those battles that you don't think you can, and that's really going to help the guild in most cases. And also, sometimes we can end the guild battle early or do certain things once we know that everybody has used up all their attacks. So if you just decide, well, I can't win, so I'm not going to attack, and you just sit there and do nothing, then it could keep us from doing other things that we need to do.
That's actually right. We want to use them all up. And yeah, somebody expressed to me the other day when we were facing guild that we lost a battle to, and that was this week. Oh, do I really got to fight all 3? I'm going to lose every time. And I just present to them that this is an opportunity for you to just get familiar with what those opponents are going to do, and in the future, when you start looking at what monsters you want to build and decisions you want to make to face against that opponent, now you'll know what they're capable of just because you fought against them previously. So you're familiar with that instead of just seeing that avatar of X monster and saying, oh crap, and running away. You don't need to do that.
Absolutely, I agree with that a lot.
So the next part is after you hear this information, I want you to stop the video and go send the information on the line app, and I'll let Kenny take it from here.
Like I said, it's real hard to schedule and get everything right and fair and correct when it comes to guild battle participation, and especially in the holidays, because people will go on vacation. They may or may not be able to battle, but what we ask is, if you know that you cannot participate in any kind of battle in certain times in the upcoming month, the holiday month here in December and January, please hop on Line app and let Wide Awake know. Message him privately or just in the chat room, whatever you can do. You can even hop on the forum at kennyhog.com, or damn, if you have to, just email me, Kenny at kennyhog.com, and we'll get it all taken care of. All right, so now stop the video right now, hop on Line chat or Line app, and tell us your schedule when you cannot fight. All right, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Okay.
What else we got?
Now
we ready to move on?
Yes, let's talk about
get to some fun stuff.
Guild differentiation. Now, I want to talk about this one a little bit because I know a lot of times when people are looking for a guild or they're in public chat channels and they see these folks looking for farming guild, looking for farming guild, looking for farming guild, and people get the wrong perception of, is a farming guild better than a competitive guild? We are a competitive guild. There's no doubt about it. And I want to talk a little bit about the differences between the two. You know, Kenny, when we started this guild, weren't we a farming guild?
Yeah, we didn't know any other way.
And,
Especially me, I'm a redneck. I like to farm stuff.
Can you explain how what was it like for you when we were a farming guild?
Well, it was good. It was fun in its own way. It's not a challenge at all, because you set yourself up to lose on the defense side so that you fight easier guilds, and the idea is that you get more guild points by fighting easier people. But in reality, there's not that much difference when you're actually trying to be successful as a guild and competitive as a guild. So when you're a farming guild, you're not getting hardly any of the rewards for winning a war, be it mana and summoning stones. And once we had decided to make that jump to actually competing as a guild, we realized we're making about the same amount of guild points, and now we're getting all these other rewards too. So yeah, I much enjoy the challenge of being a competitive guild as opposed to a farming guild.
Yeah, I totally agree. The farming guild is fun at first. You're like, oh, I'm just fighting all these level 1s. I could just bring in my Lucian and he'll do amputate magic and just AoE everyone. It kind of like a machine gun, just cuts everyone down. Feels good, right?
Yeah.
About 10 times it gets a little stale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then transitioning from farming. So that's the thing about farming. It's easy, but it's boring. And then people stop fighting because there's just no challenge. Going to competitive is what we're doing now. Well, we are competitive at this point, but that transition at first was interesting because people did not know how to fight that monster or this monster, or how to deal with this combination of monsters that the opponent had. There was a learning curve, but that's the difference between the two guild types for those that are new to the game. Okay, next section of the thing here is game progression prioritization. And what this is for the folks that are new, that are still under level 30, and they're trying to figure out, what do I put my energy, my time, and my efforts into? So there's different categories. There's runes, there's skills, there's awakening, and there's monsters. And I think the best way I try to put it is, try to develop a team to farm runes first. Everything else can come secondary, because you're going to need runes no matter what. Let's just say that you had not gone that route, and then you turn around, you got Archangel, you got a Fire Dragon, you got a Phoenix, you've got a Camilla, and you've got, I don't know, something else, Chloe or Chasun. And they're great. But the problem is, you don't have a team to farm for the runes for them, so they wind up looking pretty and not being very effective. You're going to be pissed because you're going to lose in arena battles. You're going to be pissed because you should be winning in guild battles, and you're going to be losing those too. And you're going to get disillusioned and lose your motivation quickly. So I try to advise everyone to go for building a farming team for Dragons B10, for Giants B10. Necropolis, I'm not too worried about, but if you go for Dragons B10 and Giants B10 first, that's a good path to developing that. And we can go with a later video at another time what that might look like, or hit me or Kenny up on Line app chat, and then we can get into it at a later time with you in more detail. But that's the main priority. Now, because you'll be doing that, the next phase that takes you into by default is runes. So that's why that's the first bullet here. So runes are going to help you 2, 4, 6, whatever it is that you're trying to chase. It's HP, attack, or whatever, crit damage. You want that to be a percentage rune, 2, 4, 6. Just remember, 2, 4, 6 has to be slots 2, 4, and 6, a percentage rune. So those are the big ones. The next one is skills. And Kenny, you know something about Devilmons?
Those are my favorite mons. They're hard to get, but once you do, they're fun. They're really, really helpful. So
Yeah, they help out on skills, especially for some of your monsters that are nat 5s that you're probably not going to get extras to dump in it to up the skills. Isn't that right?
oh yeah, oh yeah. You want to save, and one of the things I see a lot of people make the mistake of in this game is by feeding their devil monster to the wrong person, the wrong monster for number one, and number two, they don't buy every devil man they can that comes up in the glory shop, and that's one of the priorities you need to do. If you're early game, make sure you're buying every devil mon and hold on to it because going back to what Wolver Hulk said previously, early game you really want to focus on the core monsters that are easy to get and you'll use throughout the game in dungeons, dragons, giants, TOA. There's a set of core monsters that you're always going to use, and you want to focus on them in the beginning. And you don't need Devilmon to skill up any 2-star or 3-star. And sometimes 4 stars. So you want to save those Devilmon. They're gold. They are gold, I tell you.
It's true. It's true. Now the next phase is something that I kind of, Kenny, I look at it kind of like a root canal sometimes.
Awakening?
Awakening, because getting those essences, as you well know, well, I'll let you explain that a little.
Oh yeah, that's all I did yesterday is farm for essence. It's a pain, and it depends on the monster. Some are totally useless unless they are awakened. For example, Lucian and Ramagos. If they are unawakened, then you can't use their best skill, and they're totally worthless. Some monsters, all awakening does for them is improve one skill set they have by a certain percentage. But eventually you want to awaken all your monsters that you're going to use. But the thing is, you gotta farm for the essence to achieve that goal. Not only the essence of their origin, whether it be fire, water, wind, light, dark, but also magic. So you have to divide your time up, and you always have to dedicate some time to farm an essence in order to awaken your current monsters or future monsters.
I completely agree with Kenny. He hit it on the head with that because, see, the thing about it is might have to farm for X amount of time just to get one high essence of magic or of an element like fire, water, wind, dark, light, whatever. So it's really, especially if you get a Nat 5 monster like Kenny, you just got a Desert Queen. I think she takes 20 wind high essence.
Yeah, she's great. I like her.
And that's so you can see already 20 a little bit of work, but because it's a Nat 5, you're dealing with the highest level monsters that you can get in the game. So that's why the reward of awakening it takes a little bit more work. So awakening has its value, and you definitely don't want to skip on that, even though it's time consuming. The next tab we're going to talk about is monsters. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I don't want people to get disillusioned that are new to the game and said, well, he's got a he's got a Perna, he's got a Fire Phoenix, or that guy over there got, a Chloe or a Shasoon, and I don't have that. Believe me, the monsters will come in time. You're going to get scrolls as the game goes on, and everyone gets them. It's inevitable. It's like getting wet when you fall out of a boat. It's just going to happen. So you want to focus on, like we were talking about before, the runes, the skills, and the awakening, and then the monsters are going to come in time. And just try to be patient, but don't just get your. I guess I'm trying to think of your attention taken away just by a shiny monster.
I totally agree with that. I think another mistake people make is by spending all their crystals on mystical scrolls, for example, when they haven't built their core team. I made this mistake too. I didn't know any better. You got to build up your Bella, because you're going to use her the whole game. You got to build up your Shannon and your Bernard, all the 2 and 3 star monsters. You got to get them done first. I had all these. I had 2 or 3 5 stars actually before I had my core team built. And you know what? I like in Trial of Ascension this month. Whenever I get stuck, I take out my 5 stars and I put my core team in there, and I can half the time, proceed, beat that level that I'm stuck on with 2 and 3 star monsters. And there's tons of videos on YouTube as well that describe how to beat the core levels, such as Giants and Dragons B10 in the TOA levels, with just natural monsters that you'll achieve without mystical scrolls even.
That's exactly right. The next section we're going to transition into is importance of stat boosters. Now, Kenny, have you bought your buildings from the Magic Shop?
I have. I don't have them all. That's a tough feat, but I have the ones that I think are very important. So I'll never. I don't know. You think anyone's ever bought them all yet? There's a lot.
Well, I don't think they've maxed them out. I think that's the thing, upgrading them. But they might have purchased them, but not upgraded all of them.
All right, I hear you. I agree with you. In that case, I have bought them all. They're just not upgraded.
Now, the Magic Shop, what Kenny and I are talking about, this is for the new folks again, is there's different buildings that are going to give you bonuses for speed, for HP, for attack, for defense, and others for elements like fire, wind, water, and so forth. So the importance of this is whenever you go to fight someone in PvE or PvP or in Tower of Ascension or even in the Rift, those bonuses are going to follow you. So it's good to invest money into that. There's also ones that are going to benefit you as far as for how fast they refill your energy bar. If you can get extra energy in your max energy count, as well as the ratio of how much your buildings will hold for energy or your mana, excuse me. So when you log in, you can collect your mana. And so those are the other ones out there for you. So that's important to do when you begin to do arena. I know a lot of people, I lose an arena, I suck at it, I get my ass kicked every time. Just learn from each battle. Don't give up. Don't get a disillusion. Keep at it, because you're going to need these points that you get in those guild battles. Sorry, not guild battles, but arena battles. Those are called glory points. And those glory points are what Kenny talked about earlier. You need them for Devilmon, so you got to get that every week. The other one is to buy these upgrades to these shops or these buildings. They're going to really come in handy for you. And the next one is guild battle flags. Can you talk about that, Kenny? I think you got some information with you.
Sure. Yeah, it's very similar to the buildings that you can upgrade in the Glory Shop, but it's only applied in guild battles. And these are just as important as any other building to upgrade, because you want to kick ass in guild, right? Because you're on a good guild, the veterans, of course. But let's see, there's 4 flags in guild that you can upgrade that increase your stats, and I believe they're defense, HP, crit damage, and attack. So they can get expensive, but just plan to budget all your guild points maybe after you get your Ifrit. And Also, you're also going to want to budget and allocate some guild points to acquiring 4-star maxed Rainbow Mon, because those are very helpful when it
Good.
comes to 6-starring monsters. So.
That's excellent. And we'll go to the next tab here, and this is talking about team balancing. Kenny mentioned briefly, when he gets some Tower of Ascension, he needs to go back to his bullpen and pull in some, relief pitchers, and that's a little bit of the concept. You want to bring in a tank, a healer, a DPS, which is your damage dealer, and then a buffer slash debuffer. Some of them can do both. Some of them can only do one. For example, Shannon can debuff. In other words, she can slow AOE the opponent, and she can also buff her whole team. So she's really helpful in the team.
Yeah, Shannon's one of my favorites.
Okay. Now, what do you use for your Tower of Ascension that are your 5 stars?
Well, I have a Praha and a Vanessa that I like to use a lot. They can just speed the game up and everything. But I tell you, my core team is definitely Bella, the Light of Inagami, Bella Dion.
That's his healer, and she also buffs his team.
Yeah, she's a healer and buffer, and she defense breaks the opponent. Shannon, like you said, who she can. I have her despair, so she can stun. She can land, cause the other team to land a glancing hit on me when they attack. And the big thing is she attack buffs, so when I attack them, I'm going to cause more damage, and gives my team a defense buff, so I receive less damage when my team is attacked. And then I got Bernard, the Wind Griffin. He's great. He does a speed buff on my team. Then on the opposing team, he can do a defense break and attack power break, and that's real helpful. Those are my 3 my go-tos that I use all the time. So.
And in those, he's already presented 3 of the latter categories: healing, DPS, and buff slash debuff. So that's the thinking you take with you when you go into a battle, whether if it's you're going for a dungeon or if you're going for PvP or anything else. So in arena offense, you can only have 4 monsters. So now it gets tricky. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 categories, but do I have 4 monsters that fill each of those categories? And that's the kind of thinking, especially for the newer players, you have to take with you going into an arena battle. Do I have the 4 categories fulfilled? If I don't, then what do I need to do to facilitate each of those different roles? That way, when you go to battle, you're not losing because you don't have any healing, and so on and so forth. So you want to keep that in mind. Another thing about arena offense is also keep in mind your elements. If you've got fire, try to avoid going up against water if you can, because they have the advantage on you. That's the opponent you're going to be weakest against. So you want to keep that in mind too. For arena defense, this one's a little trickier because you're not using an offensive team. So you really want to look at it in a defensive concept. Do I add more healers? Do I add someone that can maybe take more abuse or whatever the case is? So you want to strategize and figure out how you like to do it. For me, I have somebody that can provide magic immunity and remove all the debuffs off my team. I also have somebody to provide heals for the whole team, a shield, and I also have someone that can hurt the opponent so they can't just sit there and whittle me down. So they pay a price for hanging in there and slugging it out with me, and they usually wind up losing.
Awesome.
So now, Kenny, can you tell us a little bit about guild battle defense and guild battle offense?
Sure. Of course, it's the same principles as the arena, but let's see. The guild battle offense is fun and great because you know what you're doing. You know what you're getting into. You can see the monsters before you fight. So you can't. Let's see. You want to choose a monster that's going to give you a buff, a leader skill that will help you in that battle, and then you want to choose the other 2 monsters accordingly to complement your team based on the other monster's weaknesses. So if you see a team of all wind monsters and they got 3 healers, or something. You want to say, all right, well, I know I'm going to need some firepower. I need fire monsters, and I need some damage dealers so I can break the healers down and beat them before they start healing. That's just an example of one way you might strategize against that. And when it comes to guild battle defense, I know a lot of people don't put enough thought into this, because you can really reap some great benefits to having a very strong guild defense, to where when people fight you, you win. You're going to get some guild points and some mana. So it's the same principles as the arena defense. You want to make sure that you have all your bases covered. With only 3 monsters is a challenge. So you got to think about, how, when someone fights me, how is this battle going to take place? What's going to happen first? Am I going to go first? Am I fast enough most of the time? What are people going to do? What do they think? And you kind of have to role play like that and pretend like you can tell the future, and plan a team accordingly that's going to give you the best benefits.
And that's perfect, because what's trickier about guild battles versus arena battles, in arena battles, you get 4 guys to fight. With guild battles, you only get 2 strike teams of 3. So you really have to, like, okay, wait a second. Now I can't have, even though I have 4 categories, I can only go with 3 in each team. So now I need to decide based on who my opponent is, what 3 can I use to be most effective against him? In other words, do I really need to dedicate a slot to a debuffer, or can I just ground and pound against this guy and wear him down because I got the healing, the tank, and the DPS, and not have to worry about a buffer or a debuffer? So those are some of the things you want to take in consideration. Or maybe you got to do the question in reverse and you change it up in another way. So you just want to look at it and see what that opponent has and what they're capable of before you just run in. Just don't throw your 3 best guys up against somebody without putting some thought into it.
Amen.
So we'll go to the next tab here. And this one is Guild Battle Tactics. And the first one, Kenny, you did a video on this, didn't you?
I think I tried like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, it's well, as our guild grows and evolves, we change strategies, or we amend and augment our strategies. So there's a lot to do, and we're constantly learning and constantly changing.
And the 3-2-1 rule was created because in the past we had disparity within the ranks. In other words, there were some people that were just like in boxing, you got your heavyweights, and then we had our, the middleweights, and then you had on the other end like your atom weights, which were the newer players. So nobody was really getting a shot. It was everyone had the +3s, which were the heavyweights, and the +3, all that means is that monster, when you kill it in a guild battle, it's going to give you 3 extra guild points. So it's attractive to people that want to just get as many points as possible, and they can do that. The problem is, if other people come in later in the game and they didn't get a chance to fight that +3, they don't get a chance. They get screwed. So we created 3-2-1 rule where everyone fights 1 of each of the following: a +3, a +2, and a +1. This way, everyone can get a fair distribution of points. Say you're new and 3-2-1 is just too strong, then go with a +2, a +1, and I call it a +0, even though there's no plus, and that should be easier. Another thing while we're talking about this is, I know we said 3-2-1, but when you fight, go in reverse. Go 1-2-3, because what you want to do, tactically speaking, is fight your weakest opponent first and your most formidable opponent last. This way, for the next 2 battles, if you're fighting the easiest guy first, you'll still have your core monsters, your hard hitters, to fight against their premier players. So you want to think about that when you use the 3-2-1 rule.
Amen. There's a lot to think about, but that's what's half the fun.
That's right. Now, playing for draw on defense, we have a member in our guild called Louis Croyant, and he is amazing, and I encourage everyone to interact with him and ask him as many questions as possible. He does a defense that I haven't been able to copy, but it's like he's playing possum, right, Kenny?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it's impressive, and that's something that newer members should know and not be discouraged, that you don't need 6 stars to necessarily be successful at this game. Because what Lou does is that also implies the importance of runes. You can have, for instance, if you have a well-tuned team with amazing runes and they're all 5 stars, you're going to be looking very attractive to the opponent. You know, the opponents are going to be saying, "Oh, here's 3 5 stars. I can beat them."
Yeah.
But you may have all 3 of your 5 stars that have all 6 star runes maxed out, and you're going to be whooping ass and getting a ton of guild defense wins and guild points and guild mana from those wins. It's a great strategy when it comes to guild points.
Definitely. I completely agree with Kenny. And Louis Croyant, again, guys, you want to talk to him and try to get as much knowledge. Look at his defense he uses and ask him as many questions. Say, well, what are you doing? You know, what are some tips and techniques? What are some of the kind of runes I want to be looking for? And he'll be able to work with you and give you some guidance. He's very thorough, a brilliant tactician, and I'm glad that he's in our guild.
Yeah, very smart with runes.
The next one is playing for draw on the offense. Now, Kenny, have you ever done this?
I do it all the time.
Please share with.
All right, all the time. Because, boy, I could talk for hours about this, honestly. Going for the draw, yeah, it's often, very often, more beneficial for the guild if one of our members gets a draw. So they win one battle and they lose one battle. Within, because when you fight in the guild, you get two rounds. I'm sorry, not battles, but rounds. In one guild battle, you'll get 2 rounds. If you win one of them, that's awesome. If you win, you'll knock a certain amount of points off of the opposing guild that contribute to our overall success. So, for example, if you see a guy, an opponent that has a green bar, all green attack bar, and you say, "Man, I know I can beat him in round 1. I know I can. I've got some awesome monsters that can just wreck them up, and it's easy." But number 2, the second round, I think I'm going to lose. It's very often more beneficial to go ahead and win that first round and lose that second round than it is to beat a weaker opponent that has no attack bar left, for example, or a yellow or a red attack bar. Because if you just beat one guy one round that's green, you can be taken off 30%. Whereas if you beat a guy with a red attack bar 2 rounds, overall you're only removing 10% from the opponent.
Now,
So it's, yeah.
you said something about you can beat his. In other words, in a guild battle, when you fight somebody, you got to fight 2 of his teams, Team 1 and Team 2, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so you said, yeah, I could beat one of his teams, but the other one, I know I can't. Now, for that team that you know that you can't beat, what kind of monsters are you going to bring to that second fight?
Well, if it was my first battle or my second battle in my 3 allotted turns, I would bring some crappy monsters. Maybe some 1 or 2 stars or 3 stars or whatever, just ones that I would never use before. There's no hope. They're just trash. They probably don't even have runes on them, because they're just going to get blown up, so it don't matter. But if it was my third and final battle, well, I'd try to bring something good, because like I say, you never know. I can't count how many times I've beat people that I didn't think I could, even with monsters that I thought were subpar. So yeah, so there's nothing wrong with loading up good monsters in one round and just junk monsters in the next round.
Exactly. That's beautiful. That's how I agree completely. That's the best way to go about doing it. That way, like you said, Kenny said, you won't be without monsters when it comes to that big fight. The next one we're going to talk about is time management by objectives/goals. And what this is about is, this game's played pretty much by kids. There's a problem. The people in our guild, for the majority of us, we're not kids. So that means we have less time to play, but we still want to have fun and enjoy the game. So how do I go about doing that? How can I succeed with limited time availability in the game? And I guess the big question is, what do you want to achieve? If your goal is to be a guardian level player one day, if your goal is to have X amount of monsters, if your goal is to be fantastic in PvP or Tower of Ascension only, there's different concentrations, so there's different paths you can take to get to that a little quicker than the other ones. So, long story short, I think when you identify what it is you want to accomplish, come talk to me, come talk to Lou, come talk to Kenny, and we'll give you some tips and ideas on how you can get there. For example, somebody that's new, they probably want to learn what they're doing in the game, so they can understand, well, what does a +3 even mean to me? I don't know what that is. Well, have a conversation with us. We'll tell you a little bit about it. But if you know the basics and you want to move forward in the game, let's have a conversation, and then we can help you create a plan that you can go forward with and save time.
I would just like to say, when it comes to time management of the game, I kind of plan out what I'm going to do for the day the night before. And it totally depends on what's happening in the game coming
Okay.
up and where my goals are. For example, a couple nights ago, I knew that I needed a bunch of wind essence. So I allocated my whole day yesterday to gathering those wind essences. So yeah, it all depends on what's happening in the game and then where you're at as well. So as Wolverholt said, if you need any advice on that, just let us know.
Did you save extra energy for that day you were going to do wind too?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Once you get the bonus energy in your little treasure box there, I started stacking it up. So I had 8 or 9 of them ready to use yesterday, and I got my essence, awakened my Lucian. Then I had enough crystals saved up to where I popped the XP booster, and then I shifted my concentration to leveling up my Lucian, and then I used all my extra crystals to do that. So I had my whole day planned out, and if you would ask people around me, they would say I played the game all day long, and that's probably right. But what I do, I click the button, let it go, and then a couple minutes later, I would click the button again and let it go again, and then go back to what I'm working on to make money, and then I click the button. So yeah, it depends on your situation. Some people can't afford to do that all day long because the boss will fire them. But you got to do what you can do and do it when you can do it.
Perfectly said. All right, so now the next one is we just want to give you some updates and discussions on some guild projects. Kenny, you're the website guy. Talk to us a little bit about it.
All right. Well, I'm really excited about what's to come for the future of Summoner's War. There's so many things exciting going on. They just released the new updates and all that stuff. So there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to teach people. And I think Wolverhulk and I especially have a unique opportunity where we can share our knowledge and help people with this. So on kennyhawk.com, there's a lot of changes to come. Now, there's a forum on there, but in my opinion, it ain't the easiest forum to navigate. Forums are hard and difficult to start with. And sifting through hours of videos on YouTube is difficult. Reading page and page and page after page on Reddit is hard. You will accumulate all the information you need in that way in a free manner, but it's going to take you forever. So what we're planning on doing is putting together a little course for people and a little community for people to where you can quickly learn the basics and progress and learn the intermediate steps and everything in an organized fashion in one central location, and then have a community and a better forum than we currently have to where you can discuss all this with players at different levels. So I'm really excited in the next couple months to launch this new community for number one, for our guild.
Yeah.
And then what else will we have on here? Let me switch back.
Yeah. Next one is I'm looking for volunteers. So anybody in the guild that's tech savvy, I need somebody to create an avatar for the guild and someone to work with me so we can talk about it and develop a scope of work. You know those guilds that all have the same color avatar and they all look kind of cool, kind of like a bowling team. They're all matchy matchy.
They're kind of intimidating.
Little bit, yeah. And so I'm kind of thinking, want to go down that road too. So I need somebody that can create an avatar for us to use in the game as a guild. So I
I
need
like
to
it.
volunteer for that.
I like it. If I could do graphics, I would do it. But I can't. I
Anybody
can't
out
draw
there
stick
watching
man.
the video, please step up. We could use your help. And then
Awesome. Yes.
the last one I'm doing is recruiting. And this is an ongoing process. If you know of a good candidate, uh, somebody that can appreciate being in a guild of older adults, then please by all means let us know. We want to avoid, of course, the kids in high school that are suffering from ADD because when I'm playing this game, I'm off the clock. And so I should mention I'm a marriage family therapist, and that's what I see a lot of kids with issues like that. So I'm kind of looking for a break when I play the game. It's nice to be around other adults. So if you know folks that are like that, let me know. You got somebody that you want to put in the guild with us, have a conversation with me, and see what we can do. But that's
Yeah.
the video. I want to thank everyone for your time, and Kenny, thank you for helping facilitate this. I know it's a process.
Oh, no problem. I think the biggest problem is learning how to spell .com correctly when I type my name there at the bottom of the screen. But that's something that I'll eventually learn that .com only has one M, and that'll make our guild much, much better. No. Now, I'd like to thank you also, Wolverholt, because I do know how much time and effort you put into this. And it's fun and exciting, and I'm happy to be part of this guild.
Thank you. Let us
All
know.
right. We done? We got something else? Anything else we want to tell people?
Well, I was just gonna say, let me or Kenny know. If you go through part of this video and you're like not sure of something, write it down. You see me or Kenny, or you don't see us, send us a private message in Line app and ask us and let us help answer some of those questions. Because I know somebody watching this video, we probably didn't cover everything because it's not possible, but we can still help answer your questions after the video is over. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. We'll see everybody in the game. Happy summoning.
Woohoo!